Hey guys, I'm Combat Craig, and today I'm going to talk about how you know if you have a mental health problem. June is Mental Health Awareness Month, and this is my second video bringing awareness to mental health problems in veterans. I'm not an accredited agent or affiliated with the VA in any way, so these thoughts and opinions are my own. And if you need medical advice, you should see a doctor. And if you need legal help, you should consult with a VA lawyer. All right, let's get into how you know if you have a mental health problem. It can be hard to tell if you have mental health problems. Your brain and your body affect one another, and mental health problems can cause physical problems, along with changes in thinking, feeling, and behavior. In addition to commonly recognized emotional problems like feeling very sad or nervous, symptoms and signs of mental health can include a whole variety of things. And I want to be clear about this. Being sad is one thing. You get sad about things. You lose your dog, and you're sad, and it's devastating. What I'm talking about is something that's much deeper than just sadness. This is something that goes on for long periods of time. It's not acute. Acute is short term. I'm talking about chronic, months, years, decades, things of that nature. Here's a few symptoms I'd like to talk about, and they are changes in sleep, appetite, weight, or sex life. Let's take those one at a time. Changes in sleep. For me personally, my sleep is all over the board. I kind of, sleep when I'm tired and I'm awake when I'm awake. I have insomnia, I have sleep apnea, and I'm all over the board with this stuff. So I know that having a 24-hour sleep and wake schedule isn't the healthiest. But I do know that it's better than not sleeping at all. So that's kind of how I've worked it out. I nap during the morning, I nap in the afternoon, I nap at night. I try to do things to stay active during the day and keep my brain active, but it doesn't always work out so well. So instead of fighting it, I sleep when I'm tired and I'm awake when I'm awake. And then I'm watching TV or Netflix or whatever. This is where the chronic pain and the chronic fatigue comes into play in my life a lot. So a lot of times I don't have a choice. I just don't have the energy. I just don't have the motivation. So I'm sitting in bed and I can't be active. But my brain's still active, if that makes sense. Another one is appetite. This one isn't so much of a problem for me. It's not really my appetite. It's what I put in my body. But you will notice a change in appetite. You'll either start overeating or you'll start undereating because you have no appetite. So that's another thing that you should be looking out for. Weight gain or weight loss are both issues that you should be looking for as a mental health symptom. I experienced a lot of weight loss about 4 years ago, and I kind of wrote that off as a good thing because I needed to lose weight. But now my chronic fatigue syndrome and my chronic pain syndrome are more of a problem for me. I'm no longer taking painkillers, so I feel the pain a lot more, and I'm moving around a lot less. So weight gain is becoming a problem for me. Changes in your sex life is another one that you should pay attention to. This one's tough. Not like any of these are easier than others, but this one's tough because if you were married for a long time like I was married for 13 years. I mean, the normal cycle, you guys are all hot and heavy for each other for the first year or 6 months or whatever, and that tapers down. And then you go into a normal sex life, and that's different in every relationship and every marriage. So that is always working. So you have to look for things that are outside of that norm. For me, I live by myself. I'm all about hermit style being by myself. I can't even imagine being in a relationship at this point in my life. So the lack of sex life completely is a problem for me, but I just don't even want to deal with a relationship. So that's the trade-off. But technically speaking, complete loss of interest in any kind of relationship and all that kind of stuff is a problem. Another thing is pain. Is pain more of a problem? If you have chronic pain, you need to pay attention to how that affects your mental health. It's affecting you. I can guarantee that pretty much 100% based on my own experience. But you have to pay attention to the pain, how it's moving around in your body. We refer to these as like good days and bad days, like a good pain day. You can get out, do stuff because you can either deal with the pain or you can push through the pain, or you can just actually get stuff done. And then there's bad pain days when you're like, you don't even want to find out what the pain's going to be like. So you choose not to even get out of bed. I do that a lot. Also, that doesn't help with the weight gain. Or, you start moving around and it's just whatever it is, the pain's worse and it's a problem. So those cause mental health problems. So I'm going to stop here for a second and pause and let you know if you're a veteran and you think you have mental health problems and you're considering filing a claim and you don't know exactly how to go about doing it, what kind of medical evidence you need, what kind of doctors you're going to need. And that I could tell you is a board certified psychologist or a board certified psychiatrist. If you need help with any of that stuff, you can send me an email at combatcraig@vaclaimsinsider.com, or you can sign up below at combatcraigwins.com, and I can get you to one of our veteran coaches and we can talk about your claim. Decreased energy, motivation, or interests. This falls, I know all about this stuff. So decreased energy. For me, this is part of diagnosis that I now know that I have, which is chronic fatigue syndrome. So decreased energy plays out, and it's something I struggle with on a daily basis. It also accounts for weight gain, which that's also depressing when you're like turning into, getting fatter. So decreased energy is a problem all the way around. Like I just have no energy to do anything. Luckily, I still have interests in making videos, so I don't have to go that far. I have to roll out of bed, roll over to the computer, and start busting out videos. But even that is a hassle. That's not like it's an easy thing for me. I have a whole process that I go through just to psych myself up to get on video. But I didn't lose the interest part. My challenges are in motivating myself, and then decreased energy. Problems with attention, concentration, or memory. I have problems with all these as well. I have horrible memory loss, short-term memory loss, long-term memory loss, you name it. If I think about it, I literally forget things before I even get to a spot where I can go write them down. I write a lot of notes down on my phone. That's a whole nother thing where I have a bunch of lists and I don't do anything with them. I just write stuff on them. So I struggle with memory issues for sure. Attention. You can't stay focused on things. I also suffer from ADHD, attention deficit disorder. I don't know what the H stands for. I know ADD. So I have problems concentrating. I have way too many things going on in my brain. And, I need to take medication so I can calm me down so I can, focus on getting one or two things done. So there's a lot of struggles here, when you're talking about mental health problems. All these things are intertwined. I can't focus on something. I can't remember what I'm doing. I'm not motivated to do anything. All right, I take my medication. That solves this problem, but I'm laid up today because it's a bad pain day. So all this stuff is intertwined. That's why I'm calling out a few of these things. And again, that's what makes mental health problems so tricky to deal with and diagnose. And that's why if you're a veteran that's working on filing a mental health claim, the rating criteria, the way that it's laid out, is pretty vague, and it kind of all comes down at the end of the day to social and occupational impairment. Does it affect you a little bit at 0%, a little more at 10, a a little more at 30, 50, 70 is deficiencies in most areas of your work and social life, and then 100% is total social and occupational impairment. So you're going to fit into one of those categories if you're a veteran with a mental health claim. Irritability, anger, or having a short temper. I find myself irritable all the time. The weirdest stuff, I'm just an irritable guy. One of the reasons I get away from people, because I get irritated at inanimate objects, much less people and traffic and putting myself out there amongst the population. So I live in a pretty secluded area, and that kind of helps with my irritability. But you'd be surprised at the stupid little things that I get irritable about. And then once after the irritability starts, then comes the anger, outbursts, short temper, smashing things, breaking things, punching things, getting super upset for no reason, blowing my top. But I guess for me, that's kind of the way I've been for most of my adult life. I get super pissed off and I explode. And I think what I'm trying to do there is to just try to get as much of that out as possible. I know there's a lot of underlying issues going on that I need to work on, but that's just kind of, for me, that's what works. I get irritable, it gets worse and worse, and my anger, and then boom, I smash something, and it sucks that I just broke something of my own, but it feels good to take my frustration out and bust something up. And then, I mellow out a little bit until the next episode happens, which is probably an hour or two later. Feelings of guilt, worthlessness, helplessness, or hopelessness. I'll take these one at a time. Feelings of guilt. I'm guilty all the time. Worthlessness. Couldn't hold a job together. Couldn't hold a social life together. 2 failed marriages. What's wrong with me? Helplessness, kind of goes hand in hand with worthlessness, in my view. It's just I'm, kind of helpless because I have problems, which is why I want to work on them so much. And why I need to, take all my little victories when I realize and learn something new about myself. That helps with this helplessness thing because I understand something. And hopelessness, comes in there too. It's just, I kind of have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to be like tomorrow when I wake up. It's a hopeless situation for me. I don't even really care about what's going to happen tomorrow. Because I know the chances that happiness are probably not going to be in the picture at all. So, what's the point of tomorrow? I struggle with that a lot, and I do that every single day. These 4 things of guilt, worthlessness, helplessness, and hopelessness are things that you need to be aware of, and you need to get honest about them before you can start addressing them. I'm not saying there's a magic pill to make them better, but being aware that you're like that, and trying to figure out why you're like that, and trying to look for things that will give you something to be hopeful for. Unhealthy behaviors like misusing drugs, alcohol, sex, or other behaviors like gambling or spending too much money to cope with your stress and your emotional problems. This is something that's very natural for veterans to do. The alcohol part. We learned how to drink very early. I learned how to drink earlier than when I got in the military, but I learned how to drink like a champ when I got in there. So alcoholism is very common in veterans. I actually have a diagnosis of episodic alcohol use disorder, and that's something that I've struggled with for most of my life. I'm not in AA, but I'm aware that I could go down that drinking rabbit hole real quickly. So I avoid alcohol, and I actually, practice moderation there because, there's other things. As you get older, you don't snap out of it. So you get all hammered. The next day sucks. Being hangover sucks. What were you doing when you were blackout drunk? What kind of legal risks did you put yourself in? So to deal with that, I'm just kind of taking this realistic approach for me, live out in the middle of nowhere. Don't drive places, so that removes the DUI part and the being in a bar and getting angry and being a drunken idiot. And then just having self-control. I know it's not for everybody. And, I spent a lot of time drinking before I started taking medications and realizing my mental health problems. But alcohol may be something that you're dealing with now. And there's lots of ways to deal with it. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to realize that you have a problem. And then you're going to have to deal with that problem. And at least being aware that you have a problem is a good first step there. So I just covered a wide range of possible symptoms that are associated with mental health problems. So if you're a veteran with mental health problems and you have anything that I just talked about, you should get help. The first thing is getting help. Another part of that is filing a VA claim, and that will also be helpful, but you need to do both. Go to your primary care doctor and request mental health help. If you're in a suicidal spot, turn off this video and call the suicide prevention hotline. Those guys know how to help too. I've talked to them once or twice in my life. And that's it. It's really when you're in a dark spot, period, no matter what it is, whether you're suicidal or you're just struggling with mental health issues, you just don't understand what's happening to you, you need to get in front of a mental health professional that can actually help you. Just talking through this stuff and becoming aware of it is helpful. Seems like a simple little kind of stupid baby step, but I mentioned, quite a few times, I come on here and talk about my mental health problems, and the fact that I'm talking to somebody else that has similar problems, and then you guys are like, hey, I've got that, or that's me. That is therapeutic for me because I know I'm not just talking out there to internet land and nobody's hearing me. So I'm not alone and you're not alone, but it starts with getting mental health help from a mental health professional. All right, so I'm going to leave it here for today. How you know if you have a mental health problem. I covered a bunch of things that you could think about. If you need help with your VA claim, you can sign up below at combatcraigwins.com. If you have mental health problems and you just want to talk, feel free to reach out to me at combatcraig@vaclaimsinsider.com. And with that, I will see you in the next video.